In 2003, Lego was losing $1 million every single day. The company that had defined childhood creativity for generations was drowning in debt, buried under mountains of unsold products, and just months away from total collapse. Most people assume Lego has always been this unstoppable global giant. But the truth is, they almost didn't make it. This is the story of how Lego went from the brink of extinction to becoming one of the most powerful brands on Earth. By the early 2000s, Lego was in serious trouble. Sales had dropped by nearly 30% in just 2 years. The company had accumulated around $800 million in debt. And internally, things were even worse than the numbers showed. They had spent years trying to grow by doing more of everything. They launched video games. They made clothing lines. They created jewelry for girls. They opened theme parks. They kept adding new pieces, new themes, new everything. At one point, Lego had over 13,000 unique parts in production. The company that became famous for simple, creative play had become bloated, unfocused, and extremely expensive to run. By 2003, the situation was critical. Lego was burning through cash at a terrifying rate. Warehouses were full of products nobody wanted to buy, and the brand that once stood for imagination was now associated with complexity and high prices. Many people inside the company believed the golden era of Lego was over. But then, something changed. In 2004, the board made a bold decision. They brought in a new CEO, a 35-year-old former McKinsey consultant named Jørgen Vig Knudstorp. He wasn't a toy designer, he was a strategist, and he asked one simple but painful question. What if the problem is Lego itself? Knudstorp's approach was ruthless in its simplicity. He told the company, "Stop trying to be everything to everyone." They cut the number of unique Lego pieces almost in half. They killed off dozens of product lines that weren't making money. They sold the Legoland theme parks. They laid off around 1,000 employees. Most importantly, they made a decision that went against everything the company had been doing for years. Go back to the brick. Everything had to serve one purpose: helping kids and adults build and create with that simple interlocking plastic brick. No more random diversification. No more chasing every trend. Just focus on what made Lego special in the first place. At first, the results were modest, but something important had shifted. By refocusing on the core product, Lego started making better decisions. They became more disciplined with costs. They started listening more carefully to what customers actually wanted. Then came two smart moves that changed everything. First, they leaned into strategic licensing, but only with brands that made sense. The Star Wars and Harry Potter partnerships became massive hits because they stayed true to the spirit of creative building. Second, they started paying attention to their biggest fans, including adults. Instead of ignoring them, Lego created Lego Ideas, where fans could submit designs and get them turned into real sets. This not only created new revenue, it turned customers into creators. In 2014, Lego released the Lego Movie. It wasn't just a toy commercial. It was a genuinely funny, creative film that celebrated exactly what Lego had always stood for: imagination and play. The movie was a huge success and reminded the world why Lego mattered. By this point, the company that was once losing $1 million a day had become the most profitable toy company in the world. During the 2008 financial crisis, while most companies were struggling, Lego's profits actually quadrupled. So what actually saved Lego? It wasn't just cutting costs. It wasn't just good licensing deals. It was something deeper. Lego almost destroyed itself by trying to grow through constant addition. More products, more themes, more everything. They saved themselves by doing the opposite. subtraction. They stripped away everything that wasn't essential and returned to the one thing that made them irreplaceable: the simple joy of building with bricks. In a world that constantly tells businesses to do more, expand faster, and chase every opportunity, Lego proved that sometimes the smartest move is to do less, but do it better. Today, Lego is worth billions. It's not just a toy company anymore, it's a global cultural force. But the lesson from their near-death experience in 2003 still applies to any business, any creator, or any person trying to build something lasting. Discipline beats distraction. Focus beats complexity. And sometimes the path forward is going back to what made you great in the first place.